Mine doesn't work. You just see that. But there's a timestamp. How did you change it? Remember how it starts by telling you like to do the timestamp? So I figured it out how it should yeah. A little bit, and everything I saw was just like to do it. And so you actually found things. I found something similar, but it wouldn't change anything. Right. So of course I got Oh no. So you no. Right. Yes, right here, right. Sent as oh my god. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to wrap this class as quickly as possible so that you guys have enough time for some brainstorming. Before that, welcome to Project 2. You guys have completed the part 2. Yeah. How do you guys feel? Do you guys feel more skilled now? Right. To be honest, this is the most challenging portion of the course. Once we get to the project two, once we complete project two, you will see. I won't say it's going to become easier, but the next portion is mostly like bonus stuff. I call them bonus because your foundation is already there. If you understand the foundation, the next topics are like MongoDB. So if you understood MySQL, you understood Firebase, MongoDB is easier. React, if you understood Node.js, JavaScript, handlebars, React is, it should be, it does have a learning curve, but it should be a little bit easier. Okay. So those are the two major topics anyway for after that. All right. So before we start looking at the requirements and everything for project two, um, I have the groups over here. And as you know, I was in New York last weekend, and I went to the Broadway show, Harry Potter. It was really good. So I thought the theme is going to be Harry Potter. Okay, so you can pick a house, school, anything related to it. Okay, so that would be your team name. So these are the teams. Before we start, let's get up, get into the teams, and then I'll tell you what are the requirements and how to go about it. All right. Yeah, there's only one team that is five members. Everybody is four, and if you notice, we have kind of shrunk by almost one team. Last time we had eight. This time we have seven. All right. I'm glad to see that whoever was involved in the discussion before the class are in separate groups. If you don't know what was going on, just don't mind it. We were discussing vaccines and flat earthers and moon landing. So very good topics. All right. Okay. So so I have, everybody. Just want to reiterate from the previous group also, if you didn't realize, everybody is in a group for a reason. I have tried to match as best as possible. One of the things that this cohort is a little bit different is, I wouldn't say people are antisocial, they're less social. I've seen, usually I've seen in my previous cohort, people are more social and they know everybody. This cohort is a little bit different. I have a very difficult time making people kind of talk to each other. Um, this might be the group. So, because I can almost predict what's going to be project three and what groups you are going to choose. It might be the layout of the class because my previous cohort that I have taught, the layout has been the seats are like all horizontal, so everybody is not facing each other. This is a little bit different that there are like individual tables. So it's almost like the first day you wherever you sit, that's your group forever. Um, that might be the case, but I'll have to. But this is my actually my first full class in this room with this setting, so might be that. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how the future ones are. But again, so the other reason or the other thing is that please try to be make sure you are an active member of the group. When it comes to skill set, I have faith in everyone. Everyone knows what's going on. Okay, you just have to showcase your skill. The only thing is the confidence, and you see other people, you're like, oh my god, they know more than me or something, and people kind of shut down. So that's not the case. Everybody has their skill set. Everybody have the same playing ground. So please make sure you are an active and a contributing member. The second thing is communication. If you are running behind on tasks, there is no embarrassing moment to say, oh, I don't know, I'm running behind, I cannot complete it. Please make sure you communicate with your team. You're not coming to the class, you are not going to make it to the meeting. Just let them know. Okay, everybody over here is a professional. Everybody understand what's, something can happen. But please make sure you communicate with your team and let them know. Now, in this project weeks, before I know, your team should know that where you're going to be. Okay, I get messages. That's all good. That I'm not going to be in the class, or this is happening, that is happening. Please make sure that your team knows before the TAs or I know. Okay, because you will see that if I'm going around and I see somebody is not there, I ask the group that, hey, do you know where that person is? And I want to say rarely, but most of the time I get the response, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so there's no communication. They're like, well, I'm not sure where that person is. Okay. So please make sure communicate with your team, be a contributing member. Um, the stakes are a little bit higher. In the previous, in project one, I did tell the TS to be a little bit lenient in grading and everything. This time, you guys have a lot more knowledge, a lot more experience. So the grades are going to be a little bit more stricter, rules are stricter. They're going to be looking at your project a little bit more closely than the first one. Okay? All right. Let's look at the requirements. Okay. The requirements are the first thing, it has to be a Node and Express web server. This means that you are creating a backend as well as a front end. Okay. In the first project, we did have a backend, but it wasn't like a truly backend. The backend means that it's a Node.js, you are creating a web server, and then you are able to control those APIs. Okay. So your app should have that. In the first project, there was no requirement for a database. So you could use Firebase or you couldn't. This time you have to use MySQL database and the SQLized ORM. Okay. Must have get and post. Delete and update are not there. I know they're optional, but usually I would suggest if you're creating an API, it should have all the routes: a get, post, update, and delete. But when it comes to the requirements, grading, get and post should be there. Okay. But good practice, make sure you have all the APIs: get, post, update, and delete. Heroku, last time we did GitHub, but since we are using Node.js, it's not possible to deploy your app on GitHub anymore. So you have to have deployment done on Heroku. Okay. Rarely one group or somebody, I mean, I haven't had this in a long time, but somebody comes up and they have a different cloud environment, for example, Azure or AWS or something. It's okay. Uh, but remember, for those you have to pay for something, but somebody gets some allocation from their work or something and they're like, well, can I deploy it somewhere? Heroku is, because we have done this in the class, a lot of people are familiar with it. But basically what the requirement is that your app should not be running from localhost. Okay, it has to be deployed somewhere. Heroku is there because it's free and a lot of people are more familiar with it. Okay. But if you have any other option, please come and talk to me and let me know, and then we can discuss. But I think all this time only once it has happened that somebody has a Microsoft Azure account that they want to deploy over there. Okay. Must utilize at least one new library, package, technology. The world has opened up a lot more because we have learned Node.js, and Node.js has a lot more libraries. So please look at NPM, see what new library that you can use. Okay. Um, Folder structure, we discussed MVC. I'm going to talk about MVC a little bit more today. Okay. Just to help you guys, there's a starter code. um, starter project. Okay, it is a project that I'll slack out. That project kind of follows the MVC pattern. So the choice is, if you want, you can build on top of the starter project. Okay, the starter project has your controller, models, all the folders and everything. It has like an example API, like a dummy API that doesn't do anything, but it has everything in it that will get you started on the project. Okay, so discuss it as a group if you want to use it. There have been instances where people are like, no, we are going to do it on our own thing. The only thing is it has to meet MVC. The starter project completely meets this requirement. You can use that or you can ditch it and start using your own thing. Okay, we'll talk more about the starter project. Must meet good quality standards. I know it's kind of, the font is different. It's kind of saying that it's on the low priority, but please don't let it be a low priority. Make sure you're using good quality, good coding standards. And today I'm going to show you a tool that can help you with kind of specifying some rules that your team can follow. For example, everybody in the project should be using double quotes instead of single quotes. Okay, usually in a production environment, the company or the team decides that everybody, whenever we are declaring strings, instead of single quote, we are going to use double quotes, or vice versa. Or the team decides you're going to be using single quotes everywhere instead of double quotes. Okay, these are the rules. I'm going to show a tool that you can enforce those rules. And what will happen is when you're trying to push your code to GitHub, it's not going to let you do it unless you completely follow those rules. Okay? It's kind of like a hard stop. You're publishing your pipeline, you're pushing the code is going to fail. It won't let you merge unless your requirements are completely there. Okay, now this kind of structure is already in your MVC starter code, so you don't have to do anything extra, but still I want to go over that tool so that you guys know how it works. Right, API keys must be protected so that nobody can access your packages from anywhere else. Okay, let me complete the non-requirements and then I'll ask if there are any questions. We did handlebars. Again, it's not required, but if you want, I know a lot of people don't like handlebars, but seriously, it's a really good templating engine for whatever we have learned, right? It's going to help you create UIs better. It's going to kind of help you understand it better, but it's not a requirement. If you don't want to, if you want to ditch completely handlebars, that's okay. If you are not using handlebars, then you have to use HTML and jQuery to complete your project. Well, jQuery is already would be required, but you will have to generate your HTML pages manually and kind of put data inside it. Okay, using jQuery. Authentication. Again, it's not required. I would say this is probably the most challenging non-requirement. But to give you a hint, if you are looking into authentication, please don't create your own authentication saying that I'm going to create a table called user and I'm going to store my password and username. That's not authentication. Please don't do it. It's better if you don't have any authentication versus having that kind of authentication. Okay, I can go to your JawsDB and look at all the passwords. Please don't do that. Okay, people have done it. It's better you ditch the whole authentication versus doing that. Okay, but if you want to do authentication, there are libraries that are out there. One of them is called Passport.js. It's a really good Node.js library that helps you with completing this requirement. Okay? I shouldn't be saying this, but if you are using authentication, you're using Passport.js. It kind of completes the requirement where you have to use a new technology. Kind of goes in that direction. Okay, Passport.js, I've seen a lot of people have used it. They have really good documentation and really good tutorials, YouTube tutorials. They will walk you through how do you authenticate, how do you um, implement authentication in your Node.js or your full stack app. Okay, they have options. You can incorporate a Facebook login, Google login, Twitter, or you can create your own local authentication. Okay, they have all these options. Passport.js is a really good one. Okay, there are a few more, but if you run into different ones, for example, Firebase has authentication. Google does it their own authentication. Facebook, they all have their own authentications. Okay, Passport.js is one that kind of combines all. It's a really good one. I would suggest if you are looking to complete this requirement, Passport.js is a really good one for Node.js. Okay. Um, use an existing public data set. What this means is you make a Ajax call just like your first project. Okay, you use some public APIs and get their data. That's what this requirement means. Okay, you don't have to do it, but depending on your project, you might be looking into something uh, that you need some data. Okay, you need to look up something. So for that case, you need to have third-party APIs. Not a requirement, but it would be nice to have that you can use somebody instead of creating your own data set. You can use somebody else's data set from a third-party API. Okay, the only way to get some data set from somebody else is to use a third-party API, right? The only thing I would suggest is if you're making a third-party API call, do not make it from your front end. Okay, make it from your Node.js app. Remember the Axios package? Use Axios on your Node.js part, not on your front end. Okay, your front end should only know every API that is your API, the APIs that you're going to create. This is the more confusing part, but your front end app should only and only be talking to your Node.js. That's it. Now your Node.js should be talking to your third-party APIs or anything else, but there should be no connection between this. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? Remember, on your first project, what were you doing? From your front end, you were making calls through third APIs, right? Third-party APIs. This time, all of that should be hidden. All of that should be done from your Node.js, not from your front end. Your front end should be shielded, should have no idea what's going on. The only thing they should know is that this is my point, this is my server, and I need to talk to it. Okay. Now your Node.js would make a third-party API, get the data, massage it, make it nicer for your front end. That's all good. Okay. That's my suggestion. One of the biggest thing that will solve is that CORS issue. A lot of you were running into CORS issue because the third-party APIs and Chrome was blocking your calls and everything. This solution will resolve all of that. And the reason is you're going to make your calls, your Ajax call or your Axios if you're using that package from your Node.js, and there are no CORS issue if you're making a call from your Node.js code. Okay. The last one is remember we did a seed and schema. So if you come up your table, it's good to have a seed and a schema file so that everybody on your team can quickly set the project up and start using it. Okay. Now let me go back and see any clarification required of any one of these points. Does everybody understand? Any questions? No questions? Okay. Any questions about nice to have? Any clarification? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Structure? Nope. Okay. Let's then look at our presentation. Your presentation is going to be on December 10th, Tuesday. Okay. All right. So you have little over 2 weeks, and because of the holidays and all. Okay. This group is Kelly on. Okay. So December 10th, Tuesday, we'll have the presentation. Same thing, 10 minutes, exactly the same as we did last time. Same dress code. Well, it's not a requirement, but you know what my views on the dress code and presentation are still the same thing. Okay. Any questions, confusion from the previous one? Any different experience you want to confirm from your previous project presentation that we did? It's going to be the same format. What's going on? Nothing? Huh? Just okay. Okay. All right. see. Um, and the last thing, again, it's the same thing. Project one was a little bit lenient in grading. This is, the requirements are going up. Expectations are a little bit higher, and so please make sure that you are following all the requirements, following good coding standards and everything, because the TAs are going to be looking into all those a little bit more closely now. Okay. All right. So let's get back to our. I'm going to try to complete this as quickly as possible. So today, the goal is once I complete these activities, you'll have time until 2. Please come up with the same thing. Come up with a document. Send me a Word document with the project members, your team name, what you come up with, and then a description. And if you have some pictures, that what's your design process. Okay. The project description, it should be such that I can read it and I can understand what you're trying to do. Okay. And make sure you run that project before you leave today, so that we are sure that you're filling all the requirements. It's not too difficult or not too easy. All right. Does everybody understand what they have to submit towards the end of the class, before the end of the class? Okay. Send me a document, team names, group name, description, and some pictures saying like how your project is going to look like, screens or something, just like a rough draft. Okay. Let's start with what we did from the previous project. Um, Pick a team lead among your group, and you are going to create a repository. You are going to add your team members as contributors, and then you are going to protect your master branch so nobody can merge. Okay, it has to go through a PR or a merge request. Okay, it has to go through a peer review. Make sure your branches are saved and everything, and then we'll move on to the next activity. Okay, so create a repository, add all contributors, and then protect the branch. Are you done? All right. Is is every group completed with this activity? Does everybody have a repo and everything? Huh? Okay. Few more minutes. Huh? All right. Make sure that your branch options for master are also completed. They are protected. Nobody is able to. If you follow these, nobody should be able to merge, just like your first project. All right, is everybody completed with this part? Project, branches, and everything? Okay. A quick note over here. Uh, in the same activity, you will see that it is recommended that you create your Heroku deployment as well. There's a whole video, and later on you can watch it once I introduce you to the starter template if you plan on using that, because you'll have to push that code into your GitHub right now. Okay, but it is good that make sure that Heroku is set up initially, even before you start coding. Because you might run into issues, and if you leave it for the last minute, it's a little bit more challenging. Okay, so make sure that your Heroku application is set up this way. Every time you push any code to master, it will automatically deploy everything to your Heroku, and then you don't have to worry about it. All right, so I'll talk about that once I introduce the starter template. But in the same activity, you have a video. The other thing is, on your GitLab, I have uploaded project 2 folder, and within that, if you're looking for requirements, it's inside this over here folder, requirements and suggestions, so you can go back and refer to this one. There are some supplemental folder which has some guides for Heroku deployment and how to connect to it. So all of those are over here. If you are struggling with something or you're not sure what to do, please make sure you look at the examples over here or the guides. Okay, so all of these are on your GitLab under project 2. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next few activities. Um, all right, so this is activity number 2. Okay, what I want you guys to do is there's a simple JavaScript file and an index HTML. Okay, it's a JavaScript calculator. You don't have to do any coding for it. All right, if you run this, it works. The functionality is there, and there's no issue with running the code. Okay, what I want you guys to do is look at this code and then find out what are the issues. Again, there's no issue with the functionality. The issues are a little bit different. The issues are not good coding practice. That's what it is. Okay, I want you guys to take a look at it, discuss, and see what you think is not following good coding practices. It could be consistency. For example, on the first line, single quote, but then there's double quotes, no consistency in the code. Naming convention, this is not following camel casing, so on and so forth. Okay, just take a few minutes, discuss as a team, and then I will show you how to find those out, how to fix them, and then how to follow them as well. Oh, that's the other issue. It's not formatted. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to hold myself back and not doing it, but yeah, that's one of the issues. Not formatted. All right, so let's do this. Let's start. You don't have to go every. Well, we'll see if we can go through every line, but let's do this together and see if we have identified some of the issues. But the first thing is, do you guys see that there are issues? Does everyone see that there are issues? Maybe if this was like week 3 of your class, you would be like, "Oh, this looks perfectly fine." I don't know. I mean, that's how I write my code. But I hope at this point everybody sees that this is not following good coding practices. There are issues in this code. Okay, not functionality. Function. If you run this code, it works fine. All right. For example, let's say line number 1. What issues do you see on line number 1? Yes. Oh, I didn't even see that. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? That's good. What is it? Not camel casing? Yeah, no, no, that's one. Yeah, spaces, not camel casing, underscore, that's the issue. What else? Huh? Single quote, yeah, it's not consistent that if you're using single quote but then kind of keep switching. Anything else? There's one more. Yes, there's no semicolon. I love semicolons because Java kind of enforces it, JavaScript doesn't. Yes, there's no semicolon. Okay, make sure you please end your lines in semicolon. Again, I know JavaScript doesn't care, but it's good practice so that semicolons kind of tell you that my statement has ended, and that's what it is. Okay. Line number 2, kind of similar. Camel casing, no consistency between the double quotes. What about line number 5? Anything different other than the quotes not being consistent? Looks okay. Semicolon is there. What about line number 7 is fine. Line number 8 and 9? Huh? What is it? Excellent. Do you guys see this? Result has been declared twice. Okay. Inconsistent. It's incorrect. It can give you different results. Again, the scoping issue. So make sure your intention is clear. If you have already declared, don't redeclare any variable. Okay. What else? Camel casing. Anything else different between 8 and 9? Indentation. All right. You see the indentation is different. Different between over here and over here. Okay. Line number 10. Spaces. Uh, Indentation is not correct. The parentheses are kind of weird in a different line. 12 and 13, again, indentation. Is there anything different in the next few lines other than spaces, indentation, semicolons, camel casing? Anything that we have not covered that you guys saw? Equals are different. Excellent. Where is that? Line number 7. Excellent. So this and this. Okay. The good practice is always use triple equal to. right? Does anybody know the difference between double equal and triple equal? Yes, please. Mm, excellent. So if you're using double equals, so this, these both are same. A string one and a one, they both are same. Okay, a triple equal to, again, this is one of the weird parts of JavaScript, and later on they realize that, oh, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. So they introduce a triple equal to operator, which actually is very strict and checks like it should be checking. That it should say, if you use a triple equal to, it's going to say these are not equal. And that's what the intention should be. That if you are using two different data types, one is a string and one is a number, they should not be equal. Okay, so it is one of the standards is that you should be using triple equal to when you're doing a comparison between two things. Okay, anything else? All right, so these are issues in your code that you run into. Node.js, well, JavaScript has a tool called, it's not a tool, there's a concept called linter. That's what I wrote on the board. It's called linter. Okay, just like your regular linter, right, that you use on your clothes. What linter does is it goes through your code and identifies these issues and tells you, okay, these are the issues that you have in your code. That is the purpose of a linter. Okay, it's checking for your not your syntax but your spaces and indentation, camel casing, and all those things. Okay, so a linter's job is to go through your code and lint it. Okay, now JavaScript, one of the most popular linter that exists in Node.js and JavaScript is called ESLint. Okay, it's called ESLint. That's what we'll take a look at. So a linter is more like a concept, and ESLint is one of the libraries that one of the linter libraries. Okay, there are a few more. Different languages have different. React has a different one. Everybody has come up, depending on what language you're using, they have linters. Okay, but the linter, the concept is that it's going to go through your code and kind of identify these issues and give you an output saying, oh, these are the issues. What we have to do is, if there are issues, if it doesn't pass the lint, if it doesn't pass the linter, you should not be able to merge your code into your master branch. At companies in production code, you will notice this, that everybody has a linter built in, and when you are trying to push your code to your branch, it goes through the linter. The linter looks at your changes and code, and then if there are no you are following all the rules, you are not breaking any of those linter rules, it's say, okay, you are good to go ahead and merge. Okay, if you are breaking those rules, they will be listed and you will have to go back and fix it. Otherwise, you will not be able to merge your code. Okay, that's how it usually goes in any company, in any production code. Okay, as I said, ESLint is one of the more widely used Node.js and JavaScript linter. And if you go to npm and search for ESLint, okay, this is the tool. So in the next activity, I'll show you how to use this and how to make sure that this is included in your coding part. So if you go to activity number 3, I think I uploaded the solved one also, it doesn't matter, but we'll look at the unsolved one. If you look at your package.json, it already has this ESLint built in. Okay, oh well, it already has include, so you can do npm I and it's going to go ahead and install that for this activity. Okay, before that, Visual Studio has a plugin that will actually visually let you see what the issues are. Okay, what will happen is if you install that plugin, you will see exactly, right now it doesn't say anything. I have to run the ESLint tool to see them, but if you install that plugin, you will visually, it will start underlining what the issues are. Okay, and I'm using that plugin. It's called ESLint. This is the plugin. Okay, it's better go ahead and install that Visual Studio so that we can visually see what the issues are. Okay, it's called ESLint. and this is the plugin that is inside your Visual Studio. Okay, once you have installed this, go ahead and run an npm I on your activity unsolved one, and then install ESLint, and we'll see how we'll see what that does. So I installed the plugin ESLint, and then I'm doing npm I. Okay, this is going to install ESLint on my local over here in my unsolved folder. Okay, and then if you have the Visual Studio plugin installed, then only you will be able to see this. When I click example, now you see these underlines. This is because I have ESLint installed on my local, means inside my node module folder. And the second thing is I have that Visual Studio plugin installed. Okay. Once you have both of them, you should be able to see these. Now, if you hover over it, it's going to identify and let you know which rule are you breaking. Okay, camel case, that's one of the rules. Inconsistency, or it is saying you should be using double quotes. Okay, that's the rule. Let's see what else. This one is saying indentation, it should be 2 spaces. This is more than 2 but found 5, so that's the rule that you are breaking for this one. This one is the semicolon one. Okay, so you're breaking the semicolon rule. Okay, does everybody understand the concept, and do you have the tool installed? Can everybody see those nice red lines in the code? Okay, so now let's see how do we fix it. The easier way to fix, well, not easier. Okay, I take that back. The manual way to fix it is you go ahead and fix it. You say, okay, I'm going to do this camel case, and then this rule, that rule is going to go away and fix it. Okay, you have a new error. You see the camel case has gone, but there's another rule that you're breaking. It says num1 is assigned a value but never used. Any idea why this came up? Right, because all of everywhere else is num_1, right? So you can change all of them. That should be it. So num1, and then this rule is fixed. Okay, that's one way, but that's like too manual. So I'll show you how to use linter. Linter provides some functionality that you can use to fix these things. Okay, but before we proceed, any questions? Everybody understand? Able to see it? Okay, now my question is, if you look at the folder, where do you think these rules are coming from? Somebody has to be defining it, right? Where are these rules coming from? From what? Where? Right, excellent. So you see this file over here? This is the file that has all the rules that your linter is checking. So every time you are using a linter, it is looking for eslint rc.json, the exact same name. Okay, so you need to have that file in your folder. Now if you open this file, you will see all the rules that have been listed. So your linter goes against this file and then checks the rule. Okay, can you modify it? Yeah, you can. There's no, this is company wide or whatever group of people, whoever is involved in it, come up with these rules. Now these are standard rules. Some of the rules that you see over here are more popular ones. Popular as in they are used in Google, Airbnb, Facebook. They have created these rules and they have published it for everybody to use. Okay, a lot of company kind of follow those standards like Google or Airbnb or whatever Facebook comes with it. But of course, it's not saying that you cannot change them. Okay, these are standard that some big companies, tech companies use, and they have shared those rules with us. Okay, for example, if you see semicolon quotes over here, right? This rule is basically saying that okay, you have to use double quotes. Let's suppose you want to change it, you can do single. Okay, now if you go back over here, you're going to get an error on your double quotes saying it should use single quote. You see that? So I just changed my rule. Okay, but I don't believe in single quotes. I'm going to go back to my double quotes. Okay. Semi. This is the last one is semicolon, right? You're like, well, I'm going to do it JavaScript way, and I'm not going to have any semicolon. So you can remove this rule, and then that'll be all good. Okay. But the more important part to understand is these rules are coming from somewhere, and this is in your ESLint rc.json. That's where all the rules are defined. Okay, it's not magically appearing. It's not magically doing anything. It's actually looking for this JSON file and doing this. Okay. Any idea what ESLint ignore might be doing? Huh? Ignoring. Yeah. What is it? No, it's the answer is right. It's ignoring. But what is it ignoring? Why? Like what's right? Right. But what's the purpose? So, like, what do you put inside it? Right. So anything that you don't want your ESLint to check, any folder. For example, in right now you will see node underscore modules. Why do you don't want your ESLint to run check your node modules folder? It's not yours. You have no control over node modules folder. Okay, these are all third-party node npm modules, right? You have no control over them. You cannot change their code. You don't want linter to look in this folder. Okay, if you don't have ESLint ignore and you don't have this folder, you will have a lot more issues because it's going to go inside it. Imagine going through each one of this folder, each one of these JavaScript file and finding what the issues are. That's terrible. Okay, so that's the purpose of your ESLint ignore file, that any folder that you don't want your ESLint to check, you put it over here. Let's suppose you have a folder called database and there are some JavaScript files that are temporary. You don't want your ESLint to look into those folder, you would put your folder name over here. You can put file name, anything you want. Okay, that's the purpose of ESLint ignore. Anything that you don't want your ESLint to look at. All right. All right. Let's see how do we fix them. So let's go back here, open this up. Um, let's do this. Let's open your package JSON. I want you guys to look at something. Okay. Now in your package JSON, what we have not covered is the scripts part. Okay. What is this script? Especially this one over here. Okay. If you look at the scripts part, there is a command called lint. What does it do? It is saying ESLint something and something. Okay, what is ESLint? This is this tool that you just installed. Okay, so what is the purpose of this scripts? These are your custom script that you can run on your packages. For example, if I want to run this command, I'm going to say npm run lint. Okay, what is going to happen? There is no npm run lint command. There's no such thing as lint. Okay, this is because in your package JSON you have, I'm going to assume, you have defined a command called lint, a custom command. What is going to happen behind the scene when you type this in, it's going to go over here and it's going to run this thing. This is a valid ESLint command, and this is coming from when you install your ESLint package over here. Okay, but this is like a shortcut that you can define. You can create more scripts, you can create more commands, more custom commands that you can use in your code. Okay, this is very common. If you see, what about the start one? How do I run this one? I would say npm run start. There is nothing globally npm run start. Okay, there's no command npm run start. What command is going to look up in your package JSON, is going to come over here, it's going to do node server.js. Okay, so this is like kind of you're wrapping things around. Usually you do this because when you install on Heroku, it goes, looks into the script folder and starts executing these things over here. Okay, it will look up start, it will do this. It will look up lint, it will do this. It will look up test, it will do this. Okay, so if you run your npm run lint, it goes over here, and you will see that it is going to run your linter, and it's going to tell you what each one of these errors are. Okay, this is the other way that you can look at these errors if you don't have your Visual Studio installed, that plugin installed. That plugin is again add-on, but usually what you do is you run your lint command, and this is how you see all these errors. You say, oh, this is my error, so I'll have to go back and fix it. Okay. The only I think this is an issue with Mac OS. Um, you might run into this issue if you see at the bottom over here. Your command is still running, but I'm not sure why it gives this issue. I found the fix for it. What you have to do is you have to just add exit 0. Just add exit 0 after your lint command, and that should fix that. It's not again, it's not a big issue, but it just bothers me why that error is coming. So I've looked it up, and that should fix this. Seems like it's just a Mac OS issue, so Windows might be fine. I don't know. Yes. Yeah, yeah, right. It's saying that as soon as you are done with this, just stop it. Seems like it's running twice, huh? Oh yeah, you can do anything you want. Yes, yes. A semicolon and then any command. Okay. All right. So you see, so these are all the errors over here listed, and this is how the linter works. Okay. Now look at the last option. It says 33 problems found. Okay. 22 errors fixable with the minus fixing. Okay, so linter gives you option. There are some errors that linter can fix it for you. You don't even have to go and manually change anything. Okay, but it cannot fix all of them. Right now it is saying out of these 33 problems, the linter I can go ahead and fix if you just say minus minus fix in front of it. Okay, so will this work if I do npm run lint minus minus fix? What do you guys think? It is saying minus minus fix, but is this going to work if I do npm run minus minus fix? Huh? What? Why not? Well, partially correct. It's not going to work. The reason it's not going to work is, remember, these are my custom scripts. npm run lint is this thing. Is there anything npm run lint minus minus fix? I have not defined anything over here. You see it? There's no npm run lint minus minus fix. It doesn't exist. Right? Again, why? Please remember, this is your custom command, custom script that you are defining over here. Okay? This thing over here, the linter has no idea if it is a custom script or not. What your linter is doing, it's running actually ESLint this thing. So based on this, it is saying, hey, if you run this with minus minus fix, I can fix these issues. Okay, so this command is wrong. Why? Because this is my custom script. Okay, this is my custom script over here. So when I do npm run lint, it goes over here and just execute whatever this is. Okay, so if you do minus minus fix, there is no custom minus minus fix, and it's not going to work. It's not going to do anything for you. It just keep running the same linter over and over again and keep saying that, oh, there are 33 problems. Okay, if you want to fix it, you have to run ESLint, the tool that you installed, with a minus minus fix. Okay, so let me show you how do you run that. Now that ESLint tool exists inside my node module, so I have to go. Can I do this? Let's say example.js minus minus fix. Why can't I just do ESLint and then something? Any idea? This is what? It's not in the same folder. Okay, what do I assume when I use it as a command line? Where is this package installed if I'm using it on my command line? What's the assumption? What? Global? Yes, that's the issue. Okay. And remember, what's the difference between your global install and a local install? A global install is the one that you don't use a required keyword and you should be able to access it on your command line. Okay. But in this case, ESLint, I did not do a global install. It's actually installed in my node module folder over here. Okay. So this is not going to work. If you want this to work, you have to actually go inside your node modules and then run this. So dot slash node modules es there's a folder eslint bin, and there's my eslint. Okay, so you have to manually go inside the folder, look up eslint.js, and then you can go ahead and run this. So for example, if you run this minus, okay, I didn't fix it. I was just testing this command, so this is how it runs. But behind the scene, if you see, this exact thing is inside your linter, and your linter kind of goes and installs this. If you want to see what are the options for this, what minus minus quiet means, or what are the options, you can just do a lint, and then it will give you the help. You can see it says minus minus quiet means report errors only. Okay, so if there are warnings, don't tell me there are warnings. I just want to see the errors. Okay, if you want to fix it, minus minus fix. Okay, so it fixed 22 problems. 11 it was not able to fix because it doesn't know how to fix those. So if you go back to your example.js, you see some of these are fixed. Well, 22 of these are fixed. So spacing is fixed based on the rules that you have defined. What else? It wasn't able to fix this part. Again, this is more to do with the functionality. That's why it didn't. Camel casing, it doesn't fix camel casing part. Spacing and those stuff it can fix. Okay, so some of the problems